Welcome to the Personal Development Mastery Podcast. Stand out, don't fit in. This is the second part of the interview with Rich Waterman. If you haven't listened to the first part of the interview, go back to episode 21 and listen to that first. Shall we talk about something else that I know that you are very interested in and have done, and that's overcoming fears. And I think especially this time with coronavirus, there is so much of fear going on. So what are your thoughts about fears and how to overcome them?
Yeah. So we've got a system in our brain, we've got the limbic system in our brain, and part of that system is the adrenal response, release of adrenaline. And typically we always used to talk about it as fight or flight. So do I want to fight this thing? Do I want to run away from this thing? But there's also freeze is another response. Well, to freeze, to stop, to lock down. People talk about the limbic brain, or sometimes there's a guy called Steve Peters wrote a really cool book called The Chimp Paradox. He talks about it called chimp brain. And it is this kind of primal response to keep us safe, basically. It's like a warning alarm. So I did a biology degree. So if you look back to when we were like early man, like cave women, having this like very quick response, very unconscious response as a warning of danger was massively useful, because if you see a saber-toothed tiger or a mountain lion or whatever it is, if you're starting to try and consciously process whether this thing is a threat or not, by the time you've done that, you've become breakfast, lunch or dinner.
Yeah.
So we started to develop this system that actually enhanced our possibility of survival. So getting you ready unconsciously for fight, flight, or freeze. In the animal kingdom, a lot of smaller prey will, if they freeze and stay quiet, then the predators wandering around won't see them. We have that response, it's just that I'm not sure how useful it is. Anyway, for me, it's a bit like you've got this system, which is really useful, because sometimes you're about to step out into the road and suddenly you sense that you shouldn't. That's your limbic brain going, there's something, and there's suddenly a car whizzes past and you hadn't seen it. And it's an acceptance that we have this system, but it's a little bit clunky, a little bit outdated. It's a little bit crude. And we don't want to be run by it. We want to use it, something warning us, going, be careful, this isn't safe, whether you're walking up a treacherous mountain path or crossing a road, or even if you're meeting someone, you're not quite sure, is this person got good intentions or not? All useful uses of the limbic brain. Coronavirus, COVID-19 is fascinating because it is a threat and we can't see it. So here is a classic stimulus for your limbic brain going crazy, because it's like a threat, a danger, so it needs to react. So all of us, myself included, even though I've done tons of years of NLP and Robbins neuroassociative conditioning and all this stuff and invented my own tools and things, my adrenaline's probably doing this. I'm probably less impacted than others because I know how to work with it, and probably sometimes to intercept it. My first tip would be go easy on yourself. Like, your life, no matter who you are, has been massively disrupted. How you work's been changed. Your social activities have changed. You're not able to have physical contact with loved ones. In many cases, people you know are dying. It's pretty freaking normal to have a big limbic brain response and to have elements of fear, adrenaline, anxiety, worry, uncertainty, uneasiness, whatever flavor you want to express. You may be someone that says, I don't want to feel fear, but you're going to feel variants of adrenaline response. So one level is acceptance. I think another level, Steve Peters talks about it in the chimp paradox, is different ways of dealing with it. Now, we can try and lock up and cage and control that limbic brain. That can work in the moment. I can do NLP techniques to, okay, stop talking about this, move the voice where it's telling you stuff, move it somewhere else, change the voice. Try and eliminate the fear. That is fine in the moment. If there's something you've got to do that's vitally important, trying to do that in the moment makes a lot of sense. Like Steve Peters worked with a lot of peak performance athletes. It makes sense. You're trying to control, okay, something that's 6 to 8 times more powerful than you. It's your limbic brain. So you can't win that game long term. Second thing Steve Peters talks about is exercising that brain. So basically actually just letting that out, expressing, look, you know what? I don't like being locked down. I want to see my parents. I'm worried about my job. I'm concerned my money's going to run out. Just get it out. It's a bit like having a pot of boiling water and just taking the lid off and letting the steam out and just release the pressure.
Yeah.
Just be straight. Just be honest with it. The only challenge with that is if you do it too much, then it's almost like that becomes like the norm. Like you don't really want to be in this sort of roller coaster of emotions where you're going up and down and you're angry, frustrated, and then sad and quiet, and like you be careful about overdoing it. But sometimes just talk it out yourself or talk it out with someone else. Say, look, this is what's worrying me. Blah, 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 blah. Get it out. For me, the most effective technique by far is, Steve Peters calls it negotiating with the chimp. I prefer conversations with the chimp. So it's just a recognition. Okay, it's a part of my brain. I recognize that I feel this way. I appreciate you trying to help me. So all this chatter in your head, even the little voice in your head, the feeling, there's a positive intent there, and the positive intent is to keep you safe. So you go, okay, I recognize you're trying to keep me safe. And also just know that the way you're doing it is making me feel like this, this, and this. I'm feeling a little bit sick, or I'm feeling like I'm concentrating on bad things too much. Is there a way that you could still keep me safe, limbic brain, and I don't have to get these side effects, these kind of things that are not helpful? It almost sounds slightly schizophrenic, Aggie, to be honest, but it's like it's a recognition we have different part of our brains that do different things, and we're just having a conversation with basically everyone's got your best intents at heart. Let's try and get everyone on the same side and try and minimize side effects. So since 2014, when I first read that book, The Chimp Paradox, from a life where I was driving forward and pushing forward to achieve, and had this little voice that was very pain driven, and you need to do more, that's not enough, you need to be perfect, I'm talking to that voice in the last 6 years. It's a much more flow based relationship now. I'm still human. I still get days and times when it's not, but it's my limbic brain, my inner voice is as powerful as it ever was, if not more so. But it's much more flow-based and gentle now. So what I find is, yes, I still have had moments in the last few weeks where I just haven't felt myself. I felt lost. I've confused, tired. For me, accepting that and going, okay, that's what's going on right now. I'm not going to make it right or wrong. I'm not going to indulge in it, but I am going to learn the message from it. That then enables me to come back to a place maybe that is a bit more, I would label it as being a bit more resourceful or productive. It's just another space. But that would be my number one tip. There are other breathing techniques and things that you can do to deal with fear, which I've ended up recording a load of videos the last few weeks because that was my way of feeling better, was to contribute more, right? So I produced a load of videos around this sort of stuff. But I think there's a more fundamental thing, which is a discussion with your brain about, okay, I'm recognizing I'm feeling this way. Let's talk about it. Let's work out what the intention is. And then obviously what I always say to my chimp brain and my limbic brain is, next time, can we try and have a higher quality conversation? So it's an invitation to just maybe sometimes not go to the extremes of worry and fear and anger, frustration. Let's just have the conversation first and then work out where we need to go.
And does that negotiation work?
Most of the time is the honest answer to that. Sometimes the brain doesn't want to listen, and you go, okay, right, then I'm just going to sit with it. Maybe I'll go to exercise gym. Maybe I just need to get it out. Sometimes I don't always get answers that I would expect or felt that I would need, which of course is me projecting on what I think the outcome should be. But yeah, nearly all the time, it's effective for me. And it might be that I'm a few hours off track or a day off track, or even sometimes a few days off track. But generally I'll come back to a place where I think, yeah, okay, I feel like any part of my brain that wanted to give me a message has been able to do that, and therefore it's resolved itself. It's kind of calmed almost. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll certainly use that. I will use that for myself as a technique, because I haven't. I mean, breathing and things like that, they're very useful. I've been using them for a long time, and I can see the difference immediately. They're very powerful.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I was thinking about visualizing a monkey in my brain and talking to it. So that might be fun to do.
Good. Breath is very important as well. There's obviously an immediate physiological impact you can have. Like, genuine people have extreme anxiety. They will tend to breathe very fast. It doesn't look like that, but it's basically they start to all through the nose. And people that have an extreme form, which has been a panic attack, that means they've over-oxygenated the blood. So actually, the reason that people say, "Oh, we put a paper bag over your mouth when you've got an anxiety attack," the reason for it is to get more carbon dioxide in. You don't have to do that. I'll just quickly show. Basically, if you just cup your hands like this, if you're having feeling anxious, just put the hands, not clamped like this, but just like this. Just breathe out into your hands and breathe back in. What you end up doing is you're breathing out carbon dioxide, and then you'll breathe more carbon dioxide back in, and your blood's basically become over oxygenated when you have a panic attack. That's why you feel a bit tingly and giddy. So if you just breathe into the hands in and out, you'll actually get more carbon dioxide in, less oxygen, and it'll just calm things down. I don't know, with breaths, there's different ratios and things like that you can do. People should look up 4-7-8 breathing or box breathing. Really, both those are really good. I'll talk about this stuff one day. I know we've got a limited amount of time today, so.
There is one other thing that I want, fairly relevant to what we were saying, about emotions. And the negative, or what we deem to call negative emotions. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So there are my NLP background, and actually partly my Robbins background as well, is a lot of what I do in Robbins is like someone, when they're going through one of the programs or courses, some stuff might come up that they feel they really feel they need to deal with it, or that it's getting in the way of them staying in the room and listening to the rest of the seminar. So then we would do stuff. The danger there is if you do too much of that sort of work, or do too much of what I call pure NLP work. So a lot of what I used to do a lot of phobia cures, using neurolinguistic programming, NLP. You can get into a bit of a habit of, let's see what's wrong and let's fix it. And my belief is this: as human beings, we all have a spectrum of emotions, from ones that we love, like joy, excitement, love, fulfillment, gratitude, all these things that feel lovely, right? The reason they feel lovely is because I believe it's our body saying, you're doing stuff that is really good for you personally, and probably maybe for those around you as well. Do more of that. That's a really good thing to do. You should do more of that. So it's our body's way of telling us in different flavors, do more of this. It's a really smart thing to do. We've got this other stuff that we have labeled negative emotions, disempowering emotions, all sorts of things, like bad stuff. I shouldn't feel that way. And I definitely used to talk about it in those terms in the past. You'll be able to find videos of me talking about negative and positive and lots of stuff. I don't label it that way anymore, and here's why. Like, as human beings, we are all capable of feeling the full spectrum of emotion. So we feel We feel anger, we feel frustration, we feel loneliness, sadness, depression, whatever it may be. And we all feel joy, love, happiness, fulfillment there. The other emotions that we've labeled as bad or negative, we've all got them. So my view is they would not have persisted unless they have a value. Now, I believe we were not meant to live in those emotions. We were not meant to immerse ourselves and get stuck in our emotions. And sometimes us making them wrong or us feeling we shouldn't be in this emotion means that we can look to explore it even more. Mm-hmm. We end up getting stuck in a state of anger, or stuck in a state of frustration, or loneliness or sadness or whatever, depression. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The way I look at it, Aggie, is that it's like those emotions are more of a little tap to say you're not quite on track, or there's something around you that is keeping you off track. Maybe there's someone around you or something around you that's keeping you off track.
Yeah.
Tony talks about life conditions equal blueprint. So what's going on in your life, is that matching what you think should be going on in your life? And I think these emotions are little taps, little nudges. The voice, if you imagine that your head is a board of directors at a company meeting, and there are depression, frustration, and anger, and all these other, and they will have a seat at that table. And occasionally they'll just put their hand up and go, Aggie or Rich, there's something not quite right here.
Yeah.
What you don't want to do is ignore them. Because if you ignore them, you're pushing away the message. So they'll come back in another form or different way, or maybe stronger and louder. Equally, you don't want to put them in charge. You don't want them to be the CEO or MD, because you're going to feel rubbish all the time, and that's not going to be very good for you living the life that you want to live. So again, I think it's an acceptance of their role, talking to that role, talking to that emotion, understanding that emotion, not feeling that you need to move on immediately from it, but equally making sure you don't get stuck in it. So it's I'm aware that my view on this is not normal. I think it's
conventional.
Thank you for that suggestion of a different word. It's partly from observation of myself, and it's partly from observation of how many hundreds or thousands of people I've worked with over the years in various formats. And I just they have use. Those emotions have use. So use them how they were meant to be used. Don't get stuck in them. Yeah,
that's great. Thank you for that. That's I love it. I would like to speak a little bit about richness, success mindset, wealth, abundance. I know there are money blueprint. I know it's a very broad topic.
Yes.
But I have to ask these things, especially because it is part of what you do, helping others create wealth, not only financial. But I think we explored quite a lot about other topics. But let's focus the conversation on the actual financial wealth and the mindset that needs to create it.
Yeah. So I've got a particular way that I tend to, a certain type of person, a certain way that I work with people to create more wealth, financial wealth. And so going back, obviously I've got a banking background originally, but you go right back to, okay, if I want to create more financial wealth, money was invented as basically an improvement or a more efficient bartering system. So bartering system was, I bring something I bring a load of pigs to the market, and someone else brings some grain, and we have I need your grain, you need my pigs. We have an assessment of how many pigs get me a certain volume of grain. Now, obviously that evolved because it didn't make sense for people to. Sometimes I didn't want grain. You wanted my pigs, but I didn't want your grain. I wanted something else. I wanted some pots. So then it got complicated because you need to get lots of people around in one place, which is obviously how towns and cities and markets and things grew up. So then we had this thing called money was a representation of value. So that's all you got to remember is money is just a representation of value. So if you want more money, you want more financial wealth, you just need to provide more value. And the way that I summarize it is how can I be of more service to others? That's how I do it. So contribution is obviously a big part of my life. The way that I recommend people to create more wealth is I'm a big fan of a Japanese system called Ikigai. Mm-hmm. I've been talking about it quite a lot recently because I think actually there's an element of it now that's even more important. And Ikigai are 4 overlapping circles, and in the middle is like your sweet spot. And my summary of the circles, it may not be the traditional summary, but is what am I really great at? What am I skilled at? I actually sometimes even just say, where do I get results? Where can I help people get results? It might be through a product or a service. Where do I know that I can effectively add value to people? That's the first circle. That's my summary of it. The second circle is what am I passionate about? So some people say, well, I just created an amazing business and I'm a multimillionaire and I wasn't passionate about the business. They probably were passionate about the doing the business, the actual being a business owner. They weren't necessarily passionate about the content. Mm-hmm. A lot of people I work with are actually passionate about not only running the business and growing the business, but also the content within the business as well. Reason for that is if you're more passionate about something, you bring more of you to it, more of your energy. You're more likely to persist. If you have bumps in the road or challenges or obstacles, you'll keep going because you love doing it. So I think it's quite a smart thing to do things you're passionate about. And if you're passionate about it and you're skilled at it, you're really good at getting results with this thing or this product, this service. That's a great start. The third circle, which actually in the past I have ignored to a certain point, I think right now is the most important circle potentially of the three, which is what do people need? Because that has changed. What people need right now has changed from what people needed a few months ago. Medium to longer term, it might not have changed, but in people's heads, what they need right now has definitely changed. And so you just need to be aware of what you do and what you're passionate about. How does that match with what people need? So you need to go and ask people. If you think you can help people with things, go and ask them. Don't assume anything. One of the biggest mistakes I see with business entrepreneurs, I used to work a lot with coaching startup businesses. Biggest mistake is you fall in love with your product or service. You never check whether anyone actually wants it or not. Keith Cunningham was one of my business mentors. I've got loads of Keith stuff up here. I've got all these DVDs, a bit old school, I know, but like all these DVDs and things. Keith Cunningham, Keith J. Cunningham, lovely man, one of the nicest people you ever meet. He summarizes business as find out what people want. In other words, find out what they need. Find out what people want. Go and get it. Give it to them. Mm-hmm. So right now, we really need to find out what people want or need. And actually, ideally, what you need to do is find out what people want, because people are will buy emotionally. Find out what people want, give them what they want, and then deliver what they need as well. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes what they want and what they need is different. But don't try and be the smart ass that's selling them what they need without meeting what they want as well. Find out what they want, meet that, and then deliver what they need as well. That is huge. And then the fourth circle is, will they pay? Are people pay? So you can have, I'm really good at this thing. I'm really skilled at it. I'm passionate about it. People need it, but sometimes people won't pay for it. One of the challenges with being a coach, which is what I do, is that we've got a strong desire to serve. And so sometimes people go, you know what, I should do it for free. Or I feel like I should give this away. Mm-hmm. And feel free to do that when you're making enough money to pay your bills.
Yeah.
And as you said before, you can do it in parallel as well. As a coach, and a lot of people in my circle are coaches or consultants, similar things, like you are providing massive value for people. Because you're giving people value, you're perfectly entitled to receive value back in the form of money. That is a natural exchange. Okay. make sure that what you're building your commercial business around is for people that can pay, or organizations that can pay. Like, it might be something that's funded by the government, which is going to be more tricky down the line because there's going to be less money eventually, right?
Mm-hmm.
Find out what you're skilled at, where you get results. Find out what you're passionate about. Definitely find out what people need and make sure they have ability to pay. Or if not, create products or services that at a appropriate level where they will pay. And actually, one of the biggest mistakes people make when creating financial wealth is it's easier to sell a lot of low-level products than high-level ones. In my experience, it's exactly the opposite. I find it easier to sell high-level one-to-one coaching than I do hundreds of £50, £100 courses or programs or events. Might not be true for everyone, right? Depending on your mindset. But don't think that selling at low level is easier. It's actually not, because you've got more competition, because more people are trying to sell into that space.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas me being a high level coach, I have less competition because not many people are doing it. It's a different game to play. So I think that there's a few thoughts there, Aggie, around, look, there is no concept of, do I deserve it? Do I deserve money or not? There should not be a concept around that. Do I deserve money? I don't deserve to be wealthy. I deserve to be poor. That type of conversation, because you just got to bring it back to value. Can I provide value to another human being or group of human beings, or a collection of them in a business or something like that? There is absolutely an answer to that question of, can I provide value? And for every single person on that planet, the answer is yes. You just got to decide what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Decide whether you're passionate about it. Decide whether people need it, and decide whether people will pay. And then you'll make money. You'll make as much money as you want to make. Surround yourself with people that have a really healthy relationship with creating money. So people that are wealthy and you admire their values and morals. So you don't have this conflict of, if you become very wealthy and rich, then you become an arsehole, basically. You need to surround yourself with people like I did, like with Dennis and Nick, who are amazing human beings.
Mm-hmm.
They're very wealthy. They're two of the loveliest people on this planet. So wealth and being an arsehole doesn't make sense. There are multiple examples of rich people that are arseholes. And equally, there are multiple examples of poor people that are arseholes as well, quite frankly. It's not linked. Wealth, it can be a magnifier of people. I'm not going to mention certain leaders of certain countries not far from us across an ocean. They get platforms because they're wealthy, right? But yeah, fundamentally, you come back to providing value for people that need it and are able or willing to pay. That's creating financial wealth.
Fantastic.
It's a very simple concept. I'm not saying it's easy to do, but actually, when you really embrace the simplicity of the concept, it becomes easier.
It's brilliant. There is one thing, I'm familiar with the Ikigai concept, and what you said about what do people need that now has changed compared how it was a couple of months ago, and that's so true. And personally speaking, that has stopped me now from pursuing something that 2 months ago seemed like a fantastic idea, but now it doesn't seem right because people's needs have changed. Rich, thank you so much for this conversation. I would like to ask some quick fire questions as well. If I
go
may.
for it. Yeah. I'll try and give a quick fire answer.
I'm all right with time, so it's as quick or not quick as you want to be, really.
Sure.
What does personal development mean to you?
Oh. For me, personal development is the journey of coming home to who you truly are. And it never ends.
Awesome. If you could go back in time and meet your 20-year-old self, what's the one piece of advice you would give him?
Be, not do. You don't have to prove. You don't have to prove anything. Enjoy your achievements, but it doesn't define you. it's all around the being, not doing space.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you had a magic wand and you could change something in the world as it is today, what would you change?
I would change the illusion that there's scarcity of love. For me, like, if I look at the major problems in the world, I think if everyone came from a place of love and abundance and not a view that something is scarce, like often it's a perceived scarcity of land or resources or money, or, you know, you've seen examples of it in now, like, yes, you see elements of behavior that are conflicting, they're fighting over something, but actually one of the great things about what's happened with this period of lockdown is the number of expressions of love. So I think ultimately people know that's the solution. So it would be I'd wave the magic wand for people to know that love is the answer.
Fantastic. Is there any major aha moment you had recently, the last year or so, that you wanted to share with us? Of course, in a way, you know, because there had been lots of aha moments for me anyway with our conversation. So I'm just asking you to give me more.
Yeah. I think I've had two aha moments. The reason I talked about acceptance a lot, I think, in the call today is I had 2 moments in the last year where I essentially had acceptance thrust upon me, which was a friend of ours, like my partner Heidi and her 2 girls were in a band, and one of the members of that band died of cancer. Now, he's a heavy smoker, and, you know, you can argue brought it upon himself, and we kind of knew for a few months it was coming. And one of the things, I was okay with it, actually. I was okay with the grief, but it was interesting for me how I didn't deal very well with the grief of others, like the energy of it, because I felt a responsibility. I don't know whether it's, you know, man of the household type thing or whatever it is. You know, I felt that's one of knight in shining armor, be the protector, provider type thing, and it affected me. I definitely felt low and flat. I don't know if I'd use the word depressed, maybe not, but I don't know. It was, in fact, I was impacted by that. Just like that, me not accepting where others in my family were in terms of grief, and just like wanting to make it better. And sometimes actually it's not only accepting the emotions in yourself, it's also accepting that sometimes others around you have to go through a certain process, whether it's a grieving process. I mean, it's been well defined, right? And then, so once I'd accepted it, then I felt better, even though they weren't necessarily happy. It was okay. They didn't need to be happy for me to be happy, because sometimes them being happy wasn't the right emotion for them to be feeling.
Yeah.
The second thing in the aha was a good friend of mine, James Burwood, in the Robbins environment. He committed suicide. I didn't know that he was struggling. Committed suicide. Amazing guy. I actually coached him a few years ago. Fabulous human being, like just smart, so smart, and such a funny, lovely guy. Just got into a bad space. His mum, bless her, did everything right. Like, lived with him, showered him with love. You know, I was talking to her about it afterwards at the funeral. I like textbook. She did everything that I would have done, and he still chose to end his life, which was devastating for me and a number of other his friends. And what I learned was this: is like some people, I miss him. I miss his physical presence. I miss talking to him. And I wish we could have created a different solution for him. And if anyone's listening to this that does feel that way, there are other solutions. There are better solutions than not being on the planet anymore, just because of the impact of the loved ones around you. But I've had a similar experience after James's death that I did with my favourite grandmother. So my mother's mother, lady called Mam Wells. When she passed, she was in her 90s, I think, when she passed. It was very difficult to lose someone that I loved so much in my life. Such a pure expression of love, like never ever told me off, always ever unconditional love. Mm-hmm. Literally, as far as I could see, like the perfect human being. Never saw her get cross with anyone else, moan about anything. Just literally perfect. Mm. And when she died, I really thought, well, I don't even know, how do I cope with not having this person in my life anymore? And actually what I realised is she's with me all the time. Energetically, I've just got to think about her and my memories of her and with her. She's with me all the time, anytime I choose to go there. And actually, the reason I talk about that is my relationship with James has evolved to that. He's gone from being a good friend I'd have a laugh with and chat and make fun of various things with, to I take a great comfort now because I know who he was in his soul. I can still access that energy. So he's still with me. And I call him an idiot for doing what he did. I said, you didn't have to do that, did you, mate? You know? But those been two ahas recently. It's basically dealing with death. And one thing I know from when I was depressed is you kind of feel like you're worthless, really, of no value. In fact, actually you feel like you're a burden on other human beings. Mm-hmm. And that is not true. The biggest burden is you not being on the planet anymore. And it's interesting. I've seen a lot of people that the need has been. It's interesting that me going through that experience again, I seem to be attracting more people that have been in that space. That are in that space. Mm-hmm. And if anyone is listening, like, just talk. Just find someone to talk. You don't need to fix your depression yet. Just be with it. Know that you are loved and know that you are of value to other human beings. You just being there is value. Mm. Yeah. So those are probably two R's recently, Aggie. Yeah.
Thank you. Rich, is there anything that you were hoping I would ask you and I completely missed it?
I don't think so, no, to be honest. I mean, there are all sorts of things we could have talked about. My reaction to people being in lockdown and experiencing a lot of anxiety and fear was I created a resource on Facebook called the Gym of Richness. And there's no marketing or funnel or anything behind it. It's just literally a load of resources that you can, if you search Gym of Richness, you'll find. And I'll keep adding to it, but I've kind of done the first wave of videos and breathing techniques for anxiety. And if you're feeling pretty good and you think, okay, where do I want to go from here? There's some stuff in there as well, how to move forward with your life. Mm-hmm. So I'll direct people towards that. Feel free to use it. Feel free to ignore it. Feel free to share it, whatever you want to do. It's just something that I wanted to do. And it was as much for me helping friends and family initially as it was for anyone else. But I'm aware now I've created all the videos and might as well put it to some good use. I'll tell you what I would like to know really quickly, Aggie, if that's all right with you.
Sure.
I'd love to know why you are doing what you do.
The podcast, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, what's your drive behind that?
It's very good, and now it's we're reversing the roles.
A little bit,
we're still recording, so I will refer back to your Ikigai earlier, what you were saying, and I realized that after a while, when I started doing the podcast, that it was something I was passionate about doing. It is something that I feel I'm good at.
Yeah.
And it is something that certainly can help people by sharing the knowledge. And I will be very honest and I will say truthfully that the first person to benefit from the knowledge is myself, because I have the opportunity to directly ask questions from people who I admire, people who have knowledge and wisdom that I can benefit from. So I'm the first recipient of that wisdom, and then all that, of course, it is shared to people who want to listen. I don't know if that answers your question to some extent, but it is. I'm really. It is something that I'm really passionate about. I mean, by profession, I'm a dentist.
Yeah.
So it is a profession of serving and healthcare, but it's not. I don't have the same, shall we say, passion as I have for interacting, interviewing, learning, and helping share that knowledge to others and potentially help them to make an improvement in their life, because it's not just about a bunch of guys talking. I never see it like that, because if people, I can only hope that the listener will do what I do, which is make some notes, even mental notes, of one or two things that that would be great thing to do, for example. And I have, I mean, if you look here, I have made in red more notes from what you said than what I had earlier on. So
that's good.
Yeah,
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, no, it's brilliant. I love the honesty of your answer as well. And it's I'm glad that you recognise you're good at that and that you're doing it, because it's like, I think conversations like these are, it's beneficial for me as well, right? And I love the fact you've had benefit and people watching the video. I know we've I've talked today, but there's just one thing that people can take from it. That's great, and also it makes me feel better because I'm reflecting on my own life and the value within it as well. So I think it's brilliant what you're doing, and I look forward to watching future ones that you do with various others.
And actually, what you said about me being honest and truthful and open and authentic, I would use that word, happened because of my first Tony Robbins experience in 2017, when in the Dickens process there was that limiting belief that people are not interested in what I have to say.
Wow.
And I had so much fear of being judged by others. And now it's the opposite, because I will say, I mean, people will judge me anyway, and I will accept that. It doesn't matter. If they don't like what they hear, they can tune into something else.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, it's choice again, isn't it? It really is. Yeah, I love that. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Rich, apart from that Gym of Richness group, how else can people connect with you?
Yeah, I keep things very simple. So my website, which is due a massive revamp, but it gives a lot of information there, is richwaterman.com.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody wants to drop me an email about something, I keep it simple again. So it's richwaterman@richwaterman.com. Feel free to connect with me on Facebook. I've got there's me leaning on a podium on a stage. I'm pretty close to 5,000, but I've got a page as well that I put things on. And any questions? I'm very, obviously, as much as I can, I'm more than happy to have conversations with people if they're thinking about the next step in their journey and just want some input. I'm more than happy to do that.
I know I am, so I will reach out to you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Yeah. Well, first on the list, so that's cool. Yeah.
Any parting words, Rich?
Yeah, I just accept where you are right now in the world. It's good. It's wherever you are right now is exactly where you're meant to be, and then decide in your own way how you would want to be the difference today. And there's three parts to that. Being the difference today is love for yourself, and actually remembering both the past things you've done, loving yourself for that, present, loving yourself in this moment, and also loving what you're going to do in the future. Think about how you can do that in groups, because doing stuff in groups and teams is amazing as well. And again, as a group, what did we do great in the past? What do we love about what we did? What are we loving about how we're showing up now? What are we excited about? What are we loving about what we're going to create in the future? And the final piece is my favorite bit of Be the Difference Today, which is loving others. So spend some time today and the next few days and weeks ahead, because it's particularly important right now. Find loved ones. Tell them how much you love them for how they showed up for you in the past. Tell people how much you love them for how they're showing up for you right now. And also tell people what you love about them and the greatness you think they're going to achieve in the future, because we always see that in others before ourselves. So paint that amazing future for someone else through love.
Thank you. That's so beautiful.
Thank you, my friends.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time and your all these amazing things that you shared with me. I really appreciate you, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, my friend. Exactly the same back to you. Thank you very much for hosting me today, and I look forward to future conversations that you have. It's been a gift.
Thank you. Thank you very much for listening. Please take a moment to subscribe, rate and review Personal Development Mastery on Apple Podcasts. If you want to know more about me and how I can help you, join my Facebook group Personal Development Mastery. You can either search for it on Facebook, or you can simply type bit.ly/PDM group. And until next time, stand out, don't fit in.